Yo, what is going on, Marvel fans? So it seems like we're getting a new broken character in season 3.5. Now here it says, with the release of season 3.5, NetEase will add the Rival Mentality team up. This synergy will include two Guardians of the Galaxy. It will have Loki and Groot alongside Loki. It will be Mantis with the team of Anchor. And as such, she will receive a massive buff to her healing abilities, and Groot and Loki will get new abilities, which make it even much better. Now, as for the buffs they're getting, it says Mantis is getting a 10% increase in her healing effects, which is a huge buff. And for Groot, he's getting a new wild ability. And for Loki, he's getting a new Deflect Blessing ability. It also says Mantis will receive a 10% buff every match, regardless or not whether Loki or Groot is on the team. On the other hand, Loki and Groot will require Mantis to gain new abilities. So it seems like Loki and Groot's abilities are kind of limited. Now for Groot's new ability, he will able to heal allies with his walls, while Loki's regeneration domain will be even bigger and boost allies' stats while active. Now as for the meta impact, I expect Loki to get banned more often, along with Mantis in ranked and competitive play. And for the team comps, I feel like they're going to start to favor healing and stacking, especially if healing becomes a problem. Now I can see NetEase is pushing team synergy and role flexibility, but the massive boost of Mantis and synergy dependent boosts for Loki and Groot can destabilize the balance, in my opinion. Alright guys, starting August 8th, we got some brand new patch notes coming. For a new system, it says custom muted words. Players can now set up their own defense against words they rather not see in the chat. If a message contains a muted word, it will be filtered out. And for the faction tab in chat, it says added new faction tabs to the chat system. Also, in the store, we'll be getting the Blade Polarity Edge bundle, the Blade Emoji bundle, and the Blade Dynamic Mood bundle. Now for the tournaments, it says they're introducing a latency equalization technology to Season 3 in Marvel Rivals Championship. When a server or geographic location causes significant ping differences between factions, the systems will auto-balance latency for fairer matches. Number 2, it says, newly added to the balancing latency option to custom game, tournament room, hosts now enable this option and set thresholds. Okay, we also have some rank adjustments. For the rank rewards, it says new rank settlement rewards, reach gold for the cool blade emerald blade costume, earning all new nameplate frames at diamond and platinum. Okay, for the team matchmaking adjustments, it says players in bronze, silver, and gold can queue for competitive in any team size except 5-player teams. And it also says players in platinum, diamond, and grandmaster can queue for a competitive team of up to 3 players, while players in celestial, eternity, and one above all can queue for competitive in teams of 2 players. Now for the surrender and disconnect rule adjustments, it says surrender trigger in the first round. If a player disconnects and does not reconnect within 90 seconds, the teammate votes to surrender. The required vote passes with one less than the current team members. For example, if 4 remains, then 3 votes are needed. Okay, for a disconnect penalty in the compensation adjustments, it says invalid matches. If any player disconnects during reloading, ban, and pick phase, hero select, or within 70 seconds of the match is deemed invalid. The disconnected player receives a TI penalty that scales with repeated offenses and penalty count increases. For other players, the match ends with no result or penalty. Now for the valid matches, it says if a player disconnects after 7 seconds, the following applies. 1. Disconnected players do not reconnect before the match ends if the match ends within 90 seconds of the disconnect. And it also says normal settlement based on match results and stats means no penalty if the match ends within 90 seconds to 150 seconds after their disconnect. And it also says disconnected players receive a TI point penalty and competitive matchmaking ban, both scale with repeated offenses, and penalty count increases whether you win or lose. So if the disconnected team loses, remaining teammates receive rank point compensations. Now if the match ends 150 seconds after the disconnected players receive a T2 penalty and competitive matchmaking ban, both scale with repeated offenses, and penalty count increases whether you win or lose. And lastly, it says if the disconnected team loses, remaining teammates receive rank point compensation. Now for number 2, it says disconnected players reconnect before the match ends. If their team wins, you get a normal settlement with no penalty. And if the team loses, you get a penalty is based on disconnect to reconnect time, but no competitive matchmaking ban. And teammates receive compensation on loss only if their disconnect lasted more than 90 seconds. Now depending on your rank, the point compensation may be different. For bronze is 12 points, silver 12 points, gold 12 points, platinum 8 points, diamond 8 points, grandmaster 8 points, celestial 4 points, eternity 4 points, and one above all 4 points. If the final score after the compensation is above -1, it will be capped at -1. For example, if a gold player was supposed to lose 10 points but receives a disconnect compensation of 12 points, their results would be +2 since this is above -1. The final deduction will be set to -1. Okay, for the AFK penalty adjustments, for the invalid matches, it says if a player detects the AFK within the first 70 seconds, the match is invalid. And for the inactive players, they get a T2 penalty and the penalty count increases. Also, for other players, the match ends immediately with no results or deductions. Now for the valid matches, if the players to take the AFK after the first 70 seconds, if their team wins, normal settlement, you get no penalty. If their team loses, the inactive player receives a T2 penalty and competitive matchmaking ban, and penalty count increases, and teammates do not receive compensation. Now for the combined AFK and disconnect penalty, if a player is both inactive and disconnects, the highest penalty applies. And it also says, if a team is faced with both inactive and disconnected players, and their team loses, compensation is granted fully to the engaged teammates. Alright, based on this chart for the penalty and ban scaling for competitive, if you have one repeat offense, you get a 15-minute competitive ban, along with a 25 T1 penalty and a 30 T2 penalty. If you have a 2 repeat offenses, you get a 1 hour competitive ban, along with a 30 T1 penalty and a 35 T2 penalty. And if you have 3 repeat offenses, you get a 3 hour competitive ban, along with a 35 T1 penalty and a 40 T2 penalty. And if you have 4 repeat offenses, you get an 8 hour competitive ban, along with a 40 T1 penalty and a 45 T2 penalty. And lastly, if you have 5 or more, you get a 20 hour competitive ban, along with a 40 T1 penalty and a 45 T2 penalty. And for quick match, if you have 1 repeat offense, you get a warning, while if you have 2 repeat offenses, you get a 15-minute ban, and if you have 3 repeat offenses, you get a 30-minute ban, and if you have 4 repeat offenses, you get a 1 hour ban, while if you have 5 or more, you get an 8 hour ban. Alright, for the fixes and optimizations for all platforms, it says 1. The rank reward nameplate frames can now be displayed in more areas, such as the lobby, career, friends, faction, leaderboards, guilds, invites, custom games, etc. And number 2, it says hero display in the scene lobby now supports camera scrolling. When zoomed out, you can use emotes and your teammates will see them in real time. And for 3, the costume voice and sound effect settings have been moved to iOS settings to the hero profile, then the costume screen. So I'm guessing you click on hero profile, then click on costume screen. And it also says you can now talk special voice lines and add sound effects individually for each supported costume. And for number 4, it says they improved Venom's Tickle Me Pink emote animation for his default costume. And for number 5, it says the special tab in the store now lets you browse all available moves, emojis, and unique emotes. Now for the graphics and performance on PC, it says the PC shader compilation rework. The mandatory shader compilation wait on the first launch has been removed. Instead, essential global shaders will now be preloaded into the background after the installation/updates. And it also says shader preload speed depends on your GPU. Instant match before preloading completes may cause performance issues, including stuttering, network lag, rendering errors, or crashes. And for number 2, it says the performance test tool now provides graphic settings optimization recommendations based on your test results. And for number 3, it says in-game UI animation details will not automatically adjust based on your fixed detail settings to improve overall performance. Also, for the maps and modes, it says they fix several terrain issues that cause characters to sometimes become stuck or clip into strange areas. Alright, now for the major patch notes. For the heroes, number 1 says jumping the gun. It says they apologize for minor bug with Emma Frost, Iron Fist, Phoenix, and Wolverine, without leaping the competition with slightly higher jump heights. And with number 2, it says Iron Fist Silent Sanctuary. It says they resolve the issue with Lin Lay's Home of the Recovery, but sometimes end without playing its ending sound effect. And with number 3, it says Venom and Spider-Man slinging and style. Spidey and the Steamrollers can now separate keybinds with simple and manual swinging. And with the last one, with number 4, it says Panther and Wolverine sneaky sounds. It says they enhance the audio cues for enemy Black Panther and Wolverines when they sneak up for a surprise attack. And last but not least, for the console, it said they fixed the issue with changing global keybinds can incorrectly affect some hero ability keys. Now when it comes to these patch notes, I feel like it's a couple things to get right and some things they didn't probably get right. Like for example, they got the disconnect and AFK penalties. They finally getting serious about that, which is actually good. And that's probably the biggest W in this patch, along with the latency equalization for tournaments and custom muted words. But anyways, that's gonna be all for today. Feel free to give me your opinion on this patch note below. I'd love to hear it.